Hi YouTube, welcome to another edition of Horror Hounds, and this is going to be episode 5 in our series looking at the greatest characters in every decade of horror. Episode 5 brings us to the 1990s, maybe the coolest of all the decades and one with some really great characters. So let's get straight into it. In at number 10 we have Jack Frost, played by Scott McDonald in Jack Frost from 1997. This is a movie that I've always loved. Jack Frost is a convicted murderer and is being transported one cold wintry night to the electric chair, but the truck that is carrying him collides with another truck carrying like toxic materials or something, and they end up having this big accident. He gets covered in this toxic liquid and snow, and in turn becomes a mutant killer snowman. And this film is just as fun as it sounds. It's a film that knows not to take itself seriously. It leans into its silliness, and I think it's all the more better for doing that. But the Jack Frost killer snowman, he is just a giant killer snowman, goes around the town killing people in various snow and ice related ways, and basically just throws out a few one-liners and funny jokes as he's doing it. But this was a film that went around the video shop a lot when I was a kid. I very much remember it doing the rounds. I remember being there and seeing this garish looking snowman grinning away at me on the video shelf, and just thought it looked so cool. And Jack Frost is such a unique character. Other than the sequel, which is really not worth mentioning, I don't know any other killer snowman related horror film. So yeah, a very kind of creative and unique character was this killer snowman. So in at number 10 we have Jack Frost from Jack Frost. In at number 9 we have the Collector, played by Billy Zane in Demon Knight from 1995. The Collector is another one of these characters that's deceptively nice, deceptively charming. It's a group of people holed up in this house that are under attack from these demonic forces, and Billy Zane is kind of the leader of these horrible creatures, but he's in human form and has a very charming way about him to get himself in the house and get these characters doing what he wants at the behest of their own downfall. But the Collector in this, he goes from sort of being this kind of charming country guy. There's a few skits in the movie where he plays like the bartender and throws on these various different characters in order to get his way with the various characters that are trying to fight him off. And he sort of goes from this nice, inviting guy to kind of full-on Demon King and everything in between. It's a really good performance by Billy Zane. I've always considered him to be a very underrated actor, and this is really a movie that showcases the range that he has. But the Collector in this film, he really does bring a degree of entertainment and at times humour and sinisterness as well. It's a really good character, and one that fits in well in the kind of the colourful entourage that these Tales from the Crypt movies tended to have. So in at number 9 we have the Collector from Demon Knight. In at number 8 we have Eric Draven, played by Brendan Lee in The Crow from 1994. And The Crow is an awesome film, part action film, part martial arts, part horror, but the whole thing just has this dark, brooding menace weaving its way throughout the film. And Eric Draven, he's this kind of goth rock star, and him and his girlfriend are brutally murdered by a bunch of thugs on Devil's Night. But a year later, Eric returns from beyond the grave to seek vengeance on those that killed him and his girlfriend, all the while guided by this mysterious crow. And Brendan Lee, he was so good in this film. You can see why it made him a star, but unfortunately, he passed away whilst making the film. But his character in this, he looks awesome. I mean, his outfit and the rock and roll elements of him and the gothic elements for him are so cool. He was like emo before emo was a thing, and he carries this dark brooding vengeance with him so well and so convincingly, but at the same time there's a tenderness to his character and even has a bit of humour as well along the way. He is so good in this film, and I just think Eric Draven was such a cool character. He's just absolutely fantastic, and of course it's Brandon Lee, so he can bring the martial arts aspects to this movie as well. It really is a film that has it all, and Eric Draven was such a great character. It's a real shame that they're remaking this one, and I have seen some pictures of the new film, and it doesn't look like a winner to me. Even the director of the original Crow has said he'd rather that they didn't, because it's Brandon Lee's legacy, but I guess it doesn't mean too much in Hollywood, unfortunately. But yeah, Brandon Lee as Eric Draven is one of the best and standout performances of the 90s. So in at number 8, we have Eric Draven from The Crow. In at number 7, we have Jinn, played by Andrew Divoff in Wishmaster from 1997. And I really like Jinn. He's a great character. I love the more demonic side of him, and the makeup, and just the way he just messes everyone up throughout the film. But he's also played really well by Andrew Divoff in human form. He's got a real slickness about him. And again, another one of these deceptively nice, charming guys. Andrew Divoff has a real striking magnetism about his performance in those, particularly the first two Wishmasters, that I think goes quite understated. But what I do kind of love about Wishmaster and Jinn and the things that he gets up to in this movie is it's kind of just an excuse just to throw out and go through numerous really awesome set pieces demonstrating gore and special effects and practical effects, and just kind of showing these as a showcase throughout the film, with Jinn kind of getting people to wish for what they want, with obviously really bad and gruesome consequences. It makes for a really fun film, and some really good examples of as I say, gore and special effects. So in at number 7, we have Jinn from Wishmaster. In at number 6, we have Candyman, played by Tony Todd from Candyman in 1992. Now, I will admit, Candyman is not a favourite of mine. I know a lot of people do love this movie, and that's great. It's just not one of my go-to horror films. But I do recognise Tony Todd's mesmerising performance as Candyman in this film. He's only just got to stand there and say the words Helen, and we are absolutely transfixed on him. Such a good performance. And also credit to Tony Todd, because he really did work with real life bees all over him. Even the scenes when the bees are coming out of his mouth, they're real bees, which is just like top level commitment from him. So got to give him props for that, and the really great character that he portrayed. So in at number 6, we have Candyman from Candyman. In at number 5, we have the Leprechaun, played by Warwick Davis in Leprechaun from 1993. I was tempted to bump him up the list a little bit, but I've gone for number 5. But I have so much fun watching Leprechaun and the sequels because of Warwick Davis and his performance and the Leprechaun character. He's so funny, he's so mischievous. I never get tired of hearing from him, asking for his gold and where's my gold and that kind of thing, and sort of seeing the inventively silly ways that he comes up with killing people. The Leprechaun films are just really good kind of comedy horror that you can put on and just have a laugh. But they really wouldn't work without Warwick Davis. It's incredible how much he owns that character and gives the performance that he does, and just makes it so funny and so believable. They're a joy to watch for me. They're one of my absolute guilty pleasures, and ones that never fail to entertain me and make me laugh. So in at number 5, we have Leprechaun from Leprechaun. In at number 4, we have Annie Wilkes, played by Kathy Bates in Misery from 1990. And wow, Annie Wilkes, what a terrifying character. One of the scariest characters that I've seen on screen. She really gets to me. And it's crazy because I can watch monsters and creatures and things from beyond the grave, but it's this seemingly sweet and innocent housewife that really gets under my skin and scares me. The way she goes from kind of just sort of innocent woman that's there to nurse James Caan back to health to just insane, torturing, killing woman is just really scary. And Kathy Bates' performance in that is just absolutely fantastic. And yeah, there are still scenes in Misery that I actually struggle to watch. I mean, I virtually cannot watch the hobbling scene. It's one of these scenes that I struggle with the most in horror, which is saying something. But even just the little subtle character and personality switches that she has in that movie, and the moments in the film where you kind of know that James Caan's character is in for it because he's done some kind of discretion, it's just absolutely terrifying. Yeah, it is a film that, as I say, really gets to me, and not many horror films do, but this one does. Thank you to the unhinged performance of Kathy Bates as Annie Wilkes. She really is quite terrifying. So in at number 4, we have Annie Wilkes from Misery. Alright, getting into the top 3 now, and this was really hard. All 3 of these characters are really good. But in at number 3, we have Sidney Prescott, played by Neve Campbell in Scream from 1996. Sidney Prescott, one of my favourite final girls. I really like her in the Scream movies. Hard to pinpoint what's so good about her. I just think she's a really great character and has now become quite iconic. She's got very much the 90s vibe, which I like. She's a fighter, she's a likeable person, and yeah, I'm always behind her in all of these Scream films. I just think she's a great character in that sense. And in fact, when I watched Scream 6, I did enjoy it. I thought Scream 6 was pretty good, but I was surprised how much I missed Sidney Prescott. She brought so much to the Scream films, and I think deserves a lot of credit for that, for being a great character and being a fantastic final girl during this resurgence of 90s slashers. So in at number 3, we have Sidney Prescott from Scream. In at number 2, we have Pennywise, played by Tim Curry in Stephen King's It from 1990. Tim Curry's portrayal of Pennywise the Clown is easily the best thing about the 1990 TV movie. I do think it's a good film. I enjoy it, but yeah, Tim Curry is head and shoulders the best thing in that. It's a very long film. It's a little bit kind of bloated out at times, and really Pennywise and the presentation of him is kind of better than what the movie sort of deserves in a way. But nevertheless, he is absolutely fantastic. I love the look of Pennywise in this one. It's my favourite look out of the 1990 version and the newer releases. He just looks fantastic. It's how I imagined that he'd look when I was reading the book. I love the way kind of Tim Curry, he can be jovial and dance around, but then he sort of monsters out and the fangs come out and things like that. I just love how he kind of taunts and terrifies the kids of Derry. It's just a really good kind of realised performance from the book, and as I say, I just love the look of Pennywise. Very iconic, very eye-catching as well, of course, with the colours. So in at number 2, we have Pennywise from It. And in at number 1, the greatest horror character of the 1990s. The critics won't like me using the word horror because it's Hannibal Lecter, played by Anthony Hopkins in Silence of the Lambs from 1991. What a captivating performance. Silence of the Lambs is not a film that I watch all that much, but when I watch it, I am always starstruck and in awe by how mesmerising Anthony Hopkins is as Hannibal Lecter. And the scene that I love, when we're first introduced to Hannibal Lecter and Clarice, she's walking down that horrible sort of cell corridor. And you know Hannibal Lecter, he's a dangerous criminal, he's a cannibal, he's a very intelligent but deceptive and yeah, really dangerous person. So you're armed with this information already, so you think, right, okay, Hannibal Lecter, evil person, not a nice guy. And the moment he welcomes Clarice is just like, oh, maybe this guy isn't so bad. It's such a great performance, and I'm leaning in, and I'm leaning into Anthony Hopkins and like hanging on his every word. He's just so clever and so manipulative. And of course that's explored throughout the film, and he gets up to some gory mayhem and some violent craziness as well. But yeah, that is just sort of next level acting, and a level of kind of quiet sinisterness that is just masterfully portrayed. So yeah, it was the character that stood out the most to me as being the most sort of frighteningly believable and well acted. So yeah, I had to put him in the top spot. So the number one horror character for the 1990s is Hannibal Lecter from Silence of the Lambs. So there we go, guys. That is my top 10 best horror characters of the 1990s. Let me know what you think of that list. Let me know if you agree or not. And let me know what your top 10 list would be as well. I love the 1990s, so it'll be great to see what you guys come up with. So stick around for the next episode. Next episode, we're going into the millennium and looking at the best characters for the 2000s, which should be an interesting one. So thank you very much for watching, and stay tuned for more videos.